Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello, hello. Nice. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be playing a new game called Roadwarden. This is a game that came out originally back in 21, early 22, and it is a isometric RPG, but it's a little more than that because it's a text-based. So even though there are pictures and things like that to be seen, it's more of a choose-your-own-adventure text-based game. I thought it would be great fun to try it out on the channel here. So let's go ahead and hop on into it. New game. Everyone knows to stay away from the wilderness. Most people would never risk a lonely journey. Roadwardens not only accept the struggle, they embrace it. They deliver messages, assist merchants, burn human corpses, and if possible, get rid of the beasts and highwaymen. They live on the road, die young or retire early. It's a dangerous job, but a respectable one, and it pays well. I leave the safety of the city walls, I still have my doubts. Let's leave the safety of the city walls. Alright, so now we gotta pick the difficulty mode. There is different options here that we can choose from. Not entirely sure what would be the best option, but we're going to take a look and find out here. So, okay, we got casual, standard, restricted for returning, for the familiar, for those focused on the story. Let's do this one. Standard. The wall is still standing. There are no wolves around. No stench of blood. Good signs. This should be the place you're looking for. You are supposed to meet up with a group of soldiers, but you hear no voices, no sounds of labor. The gate is ajar. But the camp isn't safe. It may keep away the goblins and pebblers, but not beastfolk, nor trolls, and the night is near. Your palfrey breathes heavily. It had been a long day. Let's go ahead and do... I need to look around, cautiously. Considering the noise, you doubt that anyone noticed the clatter of hooves. The short, dry grasses barely cover the arid soil of this valley, but you're maybe a minute away from the edge of the sparse woods, which gets denser as they climb up the hills. At best, this trail has a few more years before it getting overgrown for good. Hard to believe it's the only route north. Yeah, it is kind of hard to believe. Huh. I could just look for another. I dismount, let's peek inside, get off my horse and enter the cave briskly. Dismount, sneak into the gate. Briskly. Let's do briskly. Your heavy boots hit the ground with pain as the long ride finally catches up with you. You stretch out, bringing your back and legs comfort. All you want now is a table, a decent chair, a nice mug of beer, and some warm stew. With any luck, your axe won't be needed here. Take care of yourself. If you're hurt or exhausted, some axes won't be available. The weaker you are, the higher the chance you'll die in combat. I approach the gate, ready to walk in. It's a military camp. It doesn't look the part. Plenty of wasted space. The fire pit is cold. 2 people are sitting at the table, tired and disheartened. They're looking in different directions, paying no attention to one another. One of them is holding a cup. Let's walk up to them. It takes him a few breaths to glance in your direction. The first person greets you with a wave of his hand. There are bags under his eyes with beard. His beard is messy. Despite a simple shirt, he's wearing durable, decent boots. A mace with a head covered in iron hangs at his side, but he doesn't reach for it. Let's take a look at the second soul, who is this other person that we get to experience here today. Just like you, she's wearing a gamson, but hers is a bit loose, as if she took care off of a corpse. Her head is shaven, as if she's protecting herself from flesh-eating bugs. Her eyes are weary, yet kind, she smiles. Considering the squad was sent there half a year ago, these 2 surely looked the part, though there should be more of them. 8, you believe. Let's let them speak first. It's nice to see an unarmed traveler in this godforsaken shithole. Makes me just a tiny bit more hopeful. The bearded man's voice was strong, yet timid. You'll be staying the night with us, I guess. We're soldiers, he and I, adds the armored woman. Oh, we're soldiers, he and I, adds the armored woman. Her moment switches from half asleep to relaxed. We'll do our best to keep you in the camp safe, but if you were to take the first watch, it would be a huge help. Travelers ought to help each other, wouldn't you say? You think for a moment. To fully rest, you need a good sleep. Sure, leave it to me. Fantastic, she rubs her hands together. I don't remember the last time I've had more than half a night of sleep. The hours before midnight should be calmest. Just wake us up if anything happens. The man flashes you a wide smile. It's easy to wake us up. Just yell. He drinks from his mug. Ask them about their lieutenant. You wonder how to phrase the question. Whenever you meet new people, you can influence how they perceive you by selecting one of the attitudes. So friendly, playful, distanced, intimidating, or vulnerable. Friendly. I was hoping to meet your lieutenant. Could we talk for a bit? The woman lets out a loud sigh, dusts off her gamson, and steps toward you. She pays little attention to us toward her side. We most certainly can, you and I, though holding this rank is still somewhat new to me. Are you a messenger? Did you lose your mount? She observes you with curiosity. Or are you looking for help? I'm your new ward maiden. My horse is waiting outside. Really? The soldier in his shirt leans forward. That explains how you got here in one piece, all by yourself. Better bring your beast here, adds the lieutenant. We have no hay, but I bet dreams of dropping its saddle. A long pause. I'm Tulia, by the way. She reaches out her hand. Shake her hand. I'm maybe a trap. Gesture for her to stop pretending to be embarrassed. I should watch the first you called me. Shake her hand. How do you want people to call you? Let's go Leto. I like Leto. Her grasp is confident. The shake is slight. Just keep your horse away from the tents. She steps away. We don't need to smell its dung. Ah, there's this issue. The soldier in the shirt also rises to his feet. We've no tent to spare. You'll have to use a blanket or something. No problem. I enjoy observing the stars. I should get used to sleeping on the ground anyways. Let's do that one. You walk through the gate. Your mount looks around and snorts anxiously. Not many humans could ride a horse. It's not only taller than you, but it's also bulkier. Huh. Interesting. I was just reading it above here for you. So, as heavy as it is strong, you can get in the saddle within a single breath, but most people wouldn't know where to even begin. From every side, it's a wall of flesh. Horses were brought to the Dragon Woods from the conquest in the south. They can trot for a long time, but won't outrun some of the local monsters. Your palfrey needs you to survive, but without it, you too would be lost. The only companion here, I want to feel at ease. I don't care about how it feels, but I need to stay strong if I want to travel. Let's go on, companion. You take a few steps towards you, scolding you with another snort. You scratch the bottom of his neck, with strength and confidence, just the way it likes it. Humans see useful animals, and even pets, as monsters in disguise. Getting emotionally attached to them is believed to lead humans to their doom. But you know that horses need companionship. Speak to it gently and lead it to the camp. You end up next to the fire pit. Removing the saddle makes the horse nicker with relief. You take a couple of minutes to examine his back, just in case, while riding the equipment is not that heavy for such a strong animal. With enough time, it starts to chafe. You wish I had something better to eat than this shabby grass. You look for an inn. I need to unpack. You haven't brought that many things, and you lost one of the sacks while fleeing the Crimson Corpse Eaters. Worst of all, you have no rope left, but maybe the soldiers could share one. It shouldn't cost more than a dragon bone. Aside from the travel set, you own a few valuable possessions, essential for your trade. So I spent my savings on decent combat equipment, I have talismans that help me with my powers, I carry riding instruments and alchemical ingredients, as well as an iron axe, a Warren Gabson, and a healing potion. I want to be a mage. Oh, wasn't trying to do that. You unpack and inspect your belongings. Your water skin isn't pierced. The spare clothes are still here. Just in case, you take a look at the wooden bowl and mug. Your cape, tinder, box matches, bandages, food rations, knife. Nothing special or too cumbersome. From time to time, your routine helps you avoid mistakes, but this doesn't make it any more exciting. So open your inventory to see your possessions. Taking it will damage your armor. You can fix it in various settlements. So, let's go and return to the soldiers. They're at the table again, observing your beast and chatting between themselves. Your stomach growls at the sight of them eating out of wooden bowls. One more bowl was put at the previous unused end of the table. You can sit down on a tree log. Join them, thank them for their meal, but I don't want to eat with them. I sit down and ask Tulia what she can tell me about the area. Ignore the meal and sit down and speak to Tulia. I join them and take a look. Nice. It's cold gruel, the meat eaten in times of hardship. This specific bowl is filled with water, hog millet, some strange-looking cereals, and blueberries. Ooh. I do like some blueberries for sure. Welcoming you with a meal, even a humble one, is beyond their duty. Soldiers live with and for their companions, constantly on the move from one part of the realm to another, making sacrifices to protect their group as they face dozens of hideous creatures. Their lives are filled with discipline, hardship, and camaraderie. Roadwardens, on the other hand, learn how to work by themselves. They seldom engage in open combat, patrolling the same roads for years. They help the settlements stay in touch, but also maintain commerce, settle down, forge friendships. When there are no laws to follow, they use their own judgment. Different responsibilities, different lifestyles. I eat quickly, not focus on the taste, and speak with Tulia. Nice, we got some nourishment. She's focused and chooses her word carefully. She looks away only when she gathers her thoughts. I'm afraid I can tell you less than I would like, and less than I should. She nods towards the other soldiers. As you can see, there's not a lot of us left. At the beginning of summer, there were 8 of us, including our previous lieutenant. 5 are dead, and 1 has run away in tears. We're also strangers in this land, as a companion. Any piece of information that may help me do my job? The man leans forward. His legs shake nervously. He sounds like a kid asking a bard to sing one more story. Tell a joke. Or do a magic trick. Whatever it takes to help escape from boredom. His untrimmed beard hides a much younger face than you originally thought. What did the officials tell you? I expect not that much. No soul governs these lands. Share what I consider to be relevant, or what I've discussed with the officials to stay between me. Share what considers relevant. You tell the soldiers how little guidance you've received. Since this area is too far away from Hollivin to keep it under control, you are warned that it's untamed and unknown. Who knows how many villages, bandits, or monsters may be found in these unmapped hills and forests. From time to time, new people come here to look for boundless opportunities. Most of them never return. Do they turn into walking corpses, or find what they're looking for? No soul could tell me, so I was hoping to look for your guidance. The lieutenant drinks from her cup and crosses her legs, ankle on knee. Seeing her chair makes you doubt she'll ever find a comfortable position. Where should we start? Let's ask how she became a lieutenant. That's not much of a story, honestly. She looks at her hand, which is currently rolling over a mug over the table. In the city, there's a strict order of, what should I call it? She exchanges looks with her companion, but he can't help her. Well, leadership succession, I guess. Hollivin chief selects commanders. Those select lieutenants, and those put their soldiers in order of priority. If lieutenant dies, they get replaced by the next soldier in line. So you are his successor? Nah, not exactly. When we fought the bandits, our lieutenant was hit by a slingshot. His boyfriend jumped in to help him, but failed to protect either of them from a spell. It was like a ball of ice that hung above them and exploded, piercing their heads, completely avoiding their shields. It's really unpleasant. She pauses. And you were the third one in line, is that right? Jump like that saved man in mill attack? Doesn't sound like a wise decision. Let's ask this one. Third one in line. Basically, yeah, she says without enthusiasm. I didn't plan to become a leader, though. I'll get demoted once we return to the city. I prefer to follow anyways. What should I know about the peninsula? I'll tell you what I know, and you'll be the judge, says the lieutenant. How long did it take you to get here from the city? On a decent palfrey, I guess it'd be 3-4 days? When you confirm, she continues. From here, you can reach the coast in about a day, as long as you don't make any stops. Do you know the situation? Why no ships can get here? You nod. The sea route allows Hollivin officials to keep in touch with the coastal villages, collect taxes, move the soldiers, collect lumber, deliver tools, but maintain order on a wild coast, such as this one. It's like filling the ocean depths with coins. Because of the rocks, you can hardly stop a ship 5 miles from the shore, and boats can't get much closer. She nods. I don't know much about fishing, but there's not that many people living by the shore, and they don't crave to stay in touch with the city folk. As she pauses, her companion carries on. No soul from the north ever came to the camp, but when we traveled to the roadside inn, Pell to the north, they were happy to trade, and to play dice. Why don't you just stay at one of the settlements? The man clears his throat. I mean, we're to guard this road. This camp is our post, and well, he turns towards Julia. She lowers her voice. Don't take it the wrong way, Leto, but are you a devout soul? So now we have to pick whether or not we're into a religion that we should be expecting here. So, like most city folk, I believe that people should unite their strength to overcome the threats. I'm a part of the United. For many years, supported a monastery to advance mankind's spiritual growth, artistry and herbalism, and magical research. Small village, freedom for me of a shell, pneumonia, and soul are the main virtues of my life. I have a strong connection to nature and spirits and follow the path of my ancestors. I'm going to go with the Order of Truth because we are a magician, so we do magic, so I think that's going to make sense to us. So, for many years, I supported a monastery that does its best to advance mankind's spiritual growth, artistry, herbalism, and magical research. I follow the teachings of the Order of Truth. Oh, I see, she hesitantly looks away. I don't know much about the River of Faith, but I'm sure we're not that different. I'm a Unite myself, she says with sort of pride in her voice, so she follows the United Church. Maybe just explain what you're thinking of. The people here are disquieting. Every few words, she taps the table with her finger. The traditions won't help them. Negotiate with the officials here. She starts to draw lines with her index finger, as if she's pointing to an invisible map. The peninsula is connected with roads, like a big circle. In the northwest, you'll find a weird village in a bog. It's not exactly pagan, I don't think. It means even a priest who claims to be an Enemite. You nod. She means a fellowship. They do crazy shit, her companion chips in. They use the dead to cut down trees and dig in soil. Once I saw it, I begged to never return there. I see. You've heard tales of such as this one when you were a child. If any isolated settlement manages to survive without the city's influence, its customs and traditions grow more and more alien. Every generation learns how to adapt to the dangerous conditions they have to deal with. And the rustic pagan traditions muddy their river of faith. The United Church often warns its members about the crazy druids, necromancers, and blood mages, the bringers of doom, the traitors to humankind. Were you able to speak to these necromancers? Any monsters worth mentioning? Anything that could catch my mount? Were you able to speak to any of these necromancers? You can see why we were not eager to go there if we could avoid it, the lieutenant chuckles. Maybe they'd be more welcoming to the Roadwarden. The roads are dangerous, with little to no shelters. People need your help. The man in the shirt turns a bit and points a finger to the northwest. If you're heading to the undead village, you'll get to an inn first, and soon. Tulia nods. Pell to the north is a safe place. You can talk with the innkeeper or the guards. Ask them about the road. And how about the east? She stares off across the camp. Hard to tell. We went there only once. There are hills, forests, rivers. We saw a tunnel sculpted in leaves and branches, but we didn't enter it. Wilderness all around. Any monsters worth mentioning? We saw all sorts of beasts. The man started to count on his fingers. Goblins, treants, cats large and small, runners, howlers, wolves, spiked boars, mufflin eaters, griffins. But we managed to stay away. Some could catch us with most mounts. Tulia glanced at her companion. Though a palfrey should be fine. The trees are so tall that the flying creatures keep to the east coast of the mountains. There are not that many humans around, and the animals are busy fighting amongst themselves. They fight more for food than territory. The soldier cracks his knuckles. Don't provoke them and ride fast. Just count on luck. That's all I need to know. She nods. I'm afraid we can't do anything more for you. Anything what happened with the previous Roadwarden? Yeah, that's what I want to know. Why did we get replaced here? Tulia takes a deep breath. Aren't you a bit late for a rescue mission? We haven't heard from him for almost half a year. The soldiers speak for a bit between themselves, trying to get their stories straight. They confirmed that he had stopped by their camp for a few times, but stopped showing up at all in the early summer. The bearded soldier starts to scratch the table with the tip of his knife, without looking at you. I don't remember his voice. Always busy, drowning in things to take care of. He would sit somewhere, sharpen his sword, fix his loud mail, clear clothes, write notes on the wax tablet of his. Yep, and leave at dawn. Unlike us, Asteria never gets bored. Tulia lets out a joyous chuckle. He's secretive, but some of the locals speak about him warmly. Maybe he just doesn't like us. Sounds like you're not sure if he's dead or not. If anyone knows, they won't tell us. Maybe someone is keeping him in the basement, the man cards with passion. We haven't seen him or his Saurian. Something ate him, I bet. The officials have hired you, right? They don't expect him to return. Richer Roadwardens often use four-legged, meat-eating Saurians as their mounts. They have to be tamed and trained since they're hatching, but, unlike horses, can easily defend themselves from many monsters. At least your palfrey is fast and reliable, and won't suddenly sink its teeth in the innocent passerby. Do you know what he was looking for? Maybe he left you a message. Neither one of us had any insight into his drawing, said Tulia, My predecessor left me no clues. We also took a look at Austrian staff. Wait! She raised her open palm. I almost forgot. She stands up and heads to a nearby tent. He has kids, in a village near Holvian. I was planning to take all of his things there. A pouch, a second spear, a decent bow, some potions, quite a treasure. She glanced at you. But I would much prefer to bring them the truth about their father. So you want me to find out what happened to him in exchange for his stuff? Here's the catch. She dusts off the hilt of the sword. We've hired a messenger to ask the commanders for further orders. Since she hasn't returned and doesn't know anything about her, she either ran away or something happened to her. She sighs with resignation. We are meant to stay here until fall. What do you think? Come see us. Tell us that you've learned from the man, and we'll get the whole event together. You think about your real mission. You were planning to return to whole event in the early fall anyways. If he's alive, I don't think he's going to be happy about me taking him away all of his possessions. Yeah, well, that's a risk I'm willing to take. True, but he's considered dead. I doubt he'll begrudge you or anything, and who knows? You may find his shell lying on the roadside tomorrow. He wears a mail, uses a spear mostly, maybe 5 feet tall, but stout. Long red beard, short hair, pale face, rarely smiles. She glances at a companion, but after he adds nothing, she sits down and stretches out her legs. So find out what happened to him. Dead, alive, left, just let me know. Lost my rope, what happened to your squad, what was your squad's mission, anything I should know about the camp, if you were me, where would you go next? So we actually have a journal here. And so now we can actually see our quest here. Before I became the Roadwarden of this peninsula, a man known as Asterion used to patrol these roads. If I manage to find out what happened to him and bring the news to Tullian for the southern camp, I'll receive his abandoned belongings. Very nice. So let's ask for a rope. You're in luck. She heads towards one of the crates and moves aside a large linen sack, revealing a rope. She brings it back and nonchalantly sits down in her chair. Take it. I was planning to leave it behind. Nice. Regular rope made of hemp fibers. Take it and offer some food in return. Tulia leans forward and rests her forearms on her thighs, looking down with clasped hands to meet your eyes. I'd normally refuse, but we need some decent food. Every day I'm searching our grouts, looking for worms and opportunity. We forage, but it's not a great spot. Some food rations will brighten up a foggy day. For now, you leave the rope on the table. What happened to your squad? The man shrugs. Bandits happened. And monsters. Strong band, though, his companion chipped in. When we got to the peninsula in spring, we saw people living in the camp. The lieutenant decided to avoid it and look for an inn. We had to travel through the night for a bit. The bearded soldier scoffs and crosses his arms. But she carried on. If he had decided otherwise, we would have all had to die that day. The innkeeper explained that the camp is a trap, that the armed ones pretend to be soldiers. There at night loses everything that they have. Sounds like slave hunters. Tulia sighs. Very much so. They killed some and took others away. Who knows where? They were letting the northerners go, hoping to avoid their raft. And it kind of worked, added the soldier. We asked them for help, but they refused. We had to clear the entire camp on our own, and that's why 3 of our people died. Don't exaggerate. It's not like the lieutenant didn't want to make a mistake. He wanted to get rid of them and take over their camp, but we didn't know our enemy well enough. We were outnumbered, and at least they had the Ice Mage among them. She looks at you. At least we cleared the road. Saved lives. You mentioned monsters as well? Nothing that would surprise you. Those of us who survived the skirmish were young, too inexperienced to spend a summer in this place without a good leader, and they didn't trust me. Or one of them was caught by the treant. Another one ignored my orders to perform some sort of ritual hunt, so a werebear tore her to pieces. The last one tried to act tough, but didn't tell us that he had cut his hand while cleaning his gamson, and lets out a ghastly chuckle. We had to cut it off, and he was so ashamed that he decided to walk north, find a new life, disappear. Idiot. What a colorful journey. The man tries to drink from his mug, but it's empty. You made this place safer? I say silent. Yeah, I think it has made it safer. Barely. Tulia seems tired. And who knows if it was even worth the lives and the effort. So what was the mission you guys' squad had? The lieutenant looks into her eyes. You know, the usual. Making the road safe, keeping people alive. I explained that it was maybe important for me to know what they have tried to accomplish. I can't really tell you. Let's just say it would be nice to have a reliable outpost somewhere nearby. A place where you can always find a group of fighters willing to protect you in the name of the law. She tilts her head back. Now, if you have any other questions. Yeah, anything I should know about this camp? The story is brief. Some merchants built the camp to have an extra shop for mules and donkeys, just between the inn and the southern villages. That's plenty of grass here and a pond nearby. When the peninsula grew more dangerous, the camp stood abandoned from time to time, serving as a shelter for travelers. The bandits came here in spring, further paralyzing the exchange of information between the northern and southern settlements. Since these highwaymen are no more, the situation may reverse. Time will tell. You can sleep here wherever you want, the man concludes their tale, though don't expect to wake up without paying it back. If you were me, where would you go next? Soldier answers quickly. To the inn, of course. He grabs his empty mug. The one northwest from here. If you can afford the room, the main hall is free of charge. The locals rarely gather there. The northern road is much more traveled, mentioned Tulia. But the hunters will tell you about this and that, and you'll have no chance but to introduce yourself. The innkeepers can listen, and knows many souls. Any tips on how I can make a good first impression? She smirks. Avoid cheap jokes. Stick to trade, don't waste his time. Show him that you can be relied on. It's getting late, we should prepare for the night. I agree, Tulia sighs in relief. And you may do better than Astrian did. Stay vigilant, she winks at you, shining the mask of a soldier. Thank you for the help. You go to the barrel and splash water on your face, which makes you even more aware of how much you need a bath. After that night, it will only get worse. Your horse is already napping, still too anxious to lay down. Let's go and prepare for our watch. The soldier in the shirt is eager to guide you. Just observe the area. There's plenty of griffins around, though they won't try to jump over the palisade. Probably better watch out for the apes. They climb up and carry any food that they can find. And then there's the one really loud werewolf that keeps smelling the wall, though it has never tried to get in. He points to the gate. The lieutenant and I will block the entrances. They're quite heavy, so if anything comes here looking for shelter, better call us to help you out. And if this someone is being chased by wolves or anything, better throw them the rope instead. He scratches his head. If it gets cold, feel free to make a fire. And the best place is on the watchtower. You may want to put a blanket there or something. The watchtower? He gives a long, puzzled look. Oh, here! He points to the pile of graves. Just climb up to the tallest one. You'll have a great view of the northern side, the more dangerous side. And also, I know you're tired. After all that writing, he points to the tent on the other side of the camp. I can handle a couple hours sleeping on the ground if you wish. Go there, and after me and rest. Just this once. At least I have a pallet inside. I smile. Thanks a lot. You put your blanket on the tallest crate and sit down. The night is warm, but the sporadic summer breeze brings gentle refreshment. From time to time your back aches, and you have to force yourself to keep your eyes open. The light of the moon helps you focus on the tall grasses. For most of the time, you spot smaller critters and birds, but there are exceptions. At some point, you see a three-horned deer, trying to challenge one another. Before they clash their antlers, a two-legged dragling appears, leading its much smaller offspring. The furry beast tries to intimidate the predators with roars and aggressive head movements. At a few moments, both sides walk away slowly, not willing to risk the fight, nor to admit their defeat. Don't let it distract me, I keep looking around. You hear the death screams of distant prey and mating calls of monkeys. Runners are chasing a gray hare. A group of muskemen lazily chew the grass, preparing themselves to sleep. A dust fosk is running together with a lynx, making playful screeches. Thankfully, you never have to intervene. You just sit there, watching a not-so-distant forest, trying to outlast your sleepiness. You can only guess how much time has passed. Once you feel you've had enough, you climb down and go into a tent, making up the bearded man with just a couple of words. You confirm that nothing important has happened. Gather my things and squeeze them into the tent. I use my bag as a pillow, put my blanket on the pallet, and cover myself with my cloak. Sleeping in a tent is not the stuff of dreams, but it's a much more welcome rest. The pallet keeps the cold soil away. The moonlight saves you outside from a bunch of eerie gloom. Listen to your own breath and find a comfortable position. Your job starts tomorrow. Focus on the real goal of my journey. The Merchant Guild wants to take control of this realm. Your warding duties are secondary. First and foremost, you need to explore the peninsula. Learn about the territory, resources, and threats. Get to know the locals, and if you can, convince them to consider negotiations with Hollivan officials and traders. Could the tribes resist the soldiers, or be a threat to the priests of the United Church? Are there any forbidden practices that need to be eradicated, such as blood magic, necromancy, robbery, or slavery? At least, I have time. 40 days to be exact. I need to be as thorough as I can. Once you finish your reconnaissance, you should speak with Tulia and return to Hollivan. There you report back to your employers and get your reward. In the meantime, you have your own goals to pursue. I need to gather some extra coins so I can help a person I care about. I need to gather some extra coins so I can retire early and live in prosperity. Gather connections among the local leaders. Merchant Guild. I want to be remembered as soul who brought peace and order. I want to help people make this region safer. I just want to help people. You're half asleep. Senses are catching the sounds of the wild forest. Your instincts keep you alert and anxious. Through the pleasant, humid, late summer air, it evens out slowly. You're thinking about your goal, but you need to gather your strength. Travel during the night, press the sleep button to rest. Alright, let's go ahead and save and sleep. You can spend the night in a borrowed tent. It's nothing special, but it will protect you from wind and rain, and protect you. The ground won't be painfully hard nor cold. Nice. So now we should be pretty good on rest. Well, yeah, I would say yeah, for sure. You take a look at the amulets. For most people, they would be nothing more than trash, but you wouldn't sell them a pouch of dragon bones. You use them to shape pneumonia into your will. With these low mementos, a few magic spells you're familiar with are far more reliable. Who knows, maybe they're already held some power within them. You look at the old, though clean bandages that remember dozens of herbal bombs and runes. You can put them on your hurting muscles, bruises and scratches, then hum an old song about time, which ends either heals our wounds or kills us all too soon to let us bother with our problems. In a few hours or so, the linens will warm up, confirming it did its job. This tint may not be much, but your spell would make you feel as good as new, though you'd lose some of your energy. So I have 3. Let's go ahead and use 2. I think having a full health would be pretty crucial here. You're woken up by sunlight, well rested and ready. Without haste, you gather all your things. Only after a couple of breaths, you notice a weird smell, like a roast. No, burning meat. Burning, rotten meat. Disgust crawls into your consciousness. You exit the tent. Your horse is looking around nervously. Your bags are where you had left them. You see an open gate. Uh-oh. Let's go outside and see what's happening. Both soldiers are standing near a humble pyre. The man in the shirt looks at you contentedly. Tulia is the first one to address you. Leto, she greets you with a nod. We use the horse as manure for the flames, so don't worry about cleaning it up. You see a corpse among the flames. Impossible to tell if it belongs to a male or female, but it was an adult. The burning process won't be over for a couple more hours. A traveler or an undead? The latter. A young one. She lacked pneumonia to understand that she couldn't get inside the camp without climbing. I stabbed her with a spear from a safe distance. She shifts her weight. One more fog and she'd be a real threat. Even now, it took a couple of hits to knock her down. Sooner or later, every human shell wakes up, gaining more strength with every soul that devours it, every moment it spends in the fogs. Burning the dead is not just a religious practice, it is necessary. Soldiers, priests, villages, mayors, even roadwardens. Making a huge pyre takes a lot of time, but it saves lives. Julia calls this undead a she. Most Unites hesitate to do so. Time for me to leave. Running away from the reek, huh? I don't blame you. She walks with you a few steps. Find us here if you need us, or if you learn what happened to Asterion. There's enough ground here for you to rest. Safe travels. These words make you stop, an old farewell mocked in a number of songs and tales. But yet you hear no scorn in Tulia's voice. You wonder how many acts of kindness like this one you're going to experience in the days to follow. She returns to the pyre. Prepare myself for the journey. You can see us over here right there. You somehow miss the fact that your mount is already saddled and warmed up. You double check the equipment, but you don't need to fix anything. The soldiers were diligent. Normally preparing any palfrey for a long journey takes time. You put on your gabson and make sure that your axe is tightly attached to your belt, then get in the saddle. The palfrey nickers, ready to take its leave. It's time for you to get to the crossroads, north, and not that far from here. Alrighty, I'm excited. Let's go ahead and use the travel button. Travel forward and continue journey. Once you're done with the north, speak to Tulia to return to Holdhaven. So we can go ahead and we can see this is where we're going. Let's travel north. Even at a later hour, you wouldn't expect to meet any travelers in the valley. The warm summer breeze lures your mount forward, but your sense of serene chirping of birds is quickly replaced by the distracting screeches and gurgles coming from further down the path. You soon find the packed four-legged griffins. They're larger than foxes, and merge the features of birds and furred beasts. Each one is of a different size, coat, and colors, and their temperament are just as varied. Their fronts are covered with vivid feathers, while their rears have darker fur. Their wings are massive, making them impressive jumpers, but they're too heavy to fly. About 24 beasts are yelling, brawling, or chasing each other around, blocking your path. Let's consider our options. You can enter the forest blindly. If these or other creatures were to chase after you, the thicket would be disastrous for your horse. There are reasons why travelers choose to stay as close to the main roads as possible, and why adventurers move in groups. Usually the safest approach would be to stay where you are and just wait for the pack to get hungry. It may, however, take a couple more hours. You're thinking about your conversation with Tulia. You've got a lot to do, and time may be of the essence. Take my action to hurry the horse. We ride fast enough, we should be fine. I stay here, better safe. If you have enough ammonia, you can also cast spells. So I grab my amulet and shave a missile light. Harmless fare will frighten them off. Let's do that. You grab one of your oldest amulets, a pendant made of leather and a single dim pearl. Oh, the sphere is covered in cryptic engravings, but if there's any special meaning behind them, you were never able to find out of what it could be. Cool. How holding the pearl between your fingers, you feel the pleasant, familiar warmth. The spell you're about to cast is not much more than a mere illusion, but you take a couple of breaths, trying to minimize any risk of failure. Pneumonia leaves your shell, formed into a white ball that you barely comprehend. When it falls to the next griffin for a couple brisk lights, amidst dazzling light, the animals squeak and snarl, fleeing in multiple directions at once. The road is now clear. Ride forward and enjoy the touch of my pendant. It cools down slowly. Very nice. That was an easy one right there. The road splits. According to what the soldier have told you, you may find a safe inn by turning left. The forest is to the right, is lush, and the trail's overgrown. Kids used to have this song. How did it go? The harshest pathway leads to the dragon's lair. Those who search for treasure. Do you truly dare? The signpost in front of you doesn't make your situation much clearer. It was put there by someone who can't write, for folks who can't read, covered in old red paint. It points east, blood there, as people say. Danger to be found. There's not a soul to ask for guidance. Let's look at my horse. What is his name? I like Soldel. Let's do Soldel. Soldel is a peaceful as you stroke its mane. Maybe it can help you find and choose a path. But you spend many years together, happy to go on. It takes a couple steps forward. You spot a few berry shrubs and wild cabbages, but they still need at least 2 weeks to gain maturity. So let's go ahead and figure out. So I think honestly, I don't think going near blood's a good idea. Let's explore west. Soldel trots with ease, unbothered by the few branches covering the beaten road. The birds' songs and distant howls draw your attention to the forest, which gets sparser and brighter. You spot boars, roe deer, and saurians. Nice! The sight of a nearby wolf pack worries you, but once you push your hips forward and your palfrey enters its canter, the beasts don't even begin to pursuit. The speed alone will protect you from many dangers. You notice a stone tower, taller than the trees. It must have been the inn I've heard about. Oh, nice! Inns like this one fit the regions traveled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers guarded by expensive mercenaries. Surely would have lived for many seasons in a primitive hamlet subsisting of salted supplies. Huh. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was unwhitewashed only a few years back. The road is wide and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide if not for the buildings. Then at least in the yard, the expenses of labors put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. 3 armed men are on the ramparts, leading through what you can only see above as their waistline. They're leaning on a parapet, right next to the gate, and you think you notice a glimpse of a smile. They wear gambrands. Each one of them dyed differently, yellow, green, and linen gray. Let's approach. A woman in yellow armor leans forward. She has long, curly, disorderly red hair, pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colors doesn't work at all. In the woods, one would have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she reminds you of the villagers spread around Haven. But no jackass would wear a saddle. I just completely skipped that. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she speaks loudly. I hadn't seen a horse for years now. I just said that it's weird to see such a large jackass, huh? Her voice is young and strong, with an accent that reminds you of the villagers spread around Holven. But no jackass would wear a saddle if I'd say. She exchanged a few words with the male guard wearing green, giving you time to move in closer. Well, this one here says there really are donkey saddles. Say, traveler, how hard is it to ride a horse? Let's be friendly again. Playful. I laugh. You wouldn't believe it, the lessons were a pain. You got off your horse to intimidate the slowly walk from the day that followed your long journey, when the whole shell was crying. You illustrate the pain as you move your hand back from the hips, then thighs. In return, the guards tell you about the time when they had to carry their friend, their bitten off legs for 3 days straight, through the heart of the woods. Meanwhile, the other guards open the gate. Maybe in a good mood, the woman in the yellow jacket smiles at you. You don't get so nosy when you talk to your boss. The man never smiles. He has the world's suffering sculpted on his face. She leads you under the roof, under which the palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post near some old hay. Once you're ready, go inside. Speak with our boss. Maybe you're hungry? The other guards take care of various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then as they're splitting firewood, cleaning their clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. You head towards the inn, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. I open the door. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. A muscular man is sweeping the floor near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. You're lucky to show up. His voice is deep and soft, with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I have a keg of decent ale. Wormwood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's foot. He fills a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. It's going to spill soon. Today, maybe. And we don't drink here before the evening. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare amongst the southern tribes, and his hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quiet fancy for manual labor. The elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. Let's stay at the counter. The planks let out a bit of creak after every step you make, so slow down a bit. You could swear that the innkeeper made a little to no noise. Here you go, he pushes the mug forward. But just so you know, my pelt to the north doesn't belong to all of it. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a bed for a meal, you'll have to pay back. He may have had some leftovers from dinner, but I'd need to check. Thanks for the drink. I see you know how to make friends with the Roadwarden. I'm gonna be friendly. He meets your eyes with a puzzled look, then grabs a wet cloth and starts to wipe down the shelves. From time to time, your conversation is interrupted by splashes of dirty water in a wooden bucket. Well, nothing is truly free. I have to work for a soul of a road, but I don't need new mouths to babble. He speaks slowly yet audibly. Value my time. You should value yours. Ignore the air and tell the man I have a couple of questions. Let's drink the ale. The dark room and the wooden walls of the mug make the liquid look as brown as chestnut. The Leah in the spring hits your nose. The first sip is even too complex, too flowery. While the brewer has used fancy ingredients, the exotic licorice runs after the taste. Now you know why there's so much left. Maybe it takes an acquired taste. The innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe you'll help me with the worrying thought I have. And that is? There are no brigands in this woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike, but they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day they may steal our furs, and I've no doubt that the reason why merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hand together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dell, northwest from here. It's a large settlement around. I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask Thais, the manager, about Glossia, that bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. If Glossia's ready to break the truce with the locals, I'm willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at nearby Dragonbone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance. A couple of days won't make too much of a difference. I'll put 2 coins when you get back with the news. Fine? 3. He observes you for a moment. 2, he growls. I could eat something. Do you have any leftovers? Dang it. I will do it for 2. What do you have for sale? Do you have anything you'd like to buy? I'm looking for a Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. What can you tell about Peninsula? Didn't expect an N. Yeah, what do you have for sale? I can come and go and pick up a few things for you. Some food for our travels to start with. Apples, nuts, sausage. Not too many at once. We need to maintain our supplies. I've got an elk fur I don't need. Its buyers was caught in a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot. Just as nice as for a wall. An almost untouched bowl of soap. Priceless for a traveler. You can't tell if he's being sarcastic. Made of fine oak ash. Strong, though you should have better supplies before you start your own bathhouse. After you mentioned you'd like something more useful on these roads, he looks down. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you pay well, you can take out one of our crossbows and a bunch of corals. A yew-bow, wool cords, and a trigger needs to be a little bit of oil. It's as good as new without soaking it in some magic. It takes a bit of muscle to draw, but even a 16-year-old could handle it. I won't sell it cheap, but I'm ready to give a discount to a helpful ally. Let me take a look at what you have first. So, let's see here. So, 3 filling meals that won't spoil anytime soon. High-class fur. A decent crossbow. How much gold do I have? I have 5. I think a box of soap would make sense. Food rations would also make sense. And then I don't have the ability to buy any of this. I don't need the crossbow arrows until I get more of the stuff. So that's good. Need anything? Do I have anything you'd like to buy? You pull out some items, but the innkeeper shakes his head. I don't need those, nor can I sell them to anyone. Rather make coins than waste them, so bring them something of value. Pack my things. I can go and use my soap, can't I? You would think. Oh, I guess I just automatically use it? Huh. And then I've seen his wear, so we had the elk fur and everything. I bought the soap. Why can't I use it? I don't understand. Okay. I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be of much help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want to find him, so. When you ask about his attention, he measures words. Asterion and I made a risky deal. Well, a promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins, my half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, I'll make you sure you won't be disappointed after bringing the news. Could it be Asterion that stole the coins and ran away? He looks at the window and starts to play with a stutter. I think Astarion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him, it wasn't kind of a fortune that I'd be risking, saying that he earned my trust. Not only mine, you know. It's easy for a Roadwarden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb, as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers. I've sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in White Marshes for a day, and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Just stay on the main road until you reach the bogs and enter them. You may get there before dusk. So, let me know when you find anything, and we may return this whole investment thing. I'll think about it. So, what can you tell me about the peninsula? What can anyone say? This place doesn't even have a name. Unless there's an old book in an archive that no soul knows about. You know what I'd call it? Give anything to go to the coast? The hunting grounds. He glances at your eyes. But it's not us who want to hunt. Keep that in heart, but the beasts in the shapes of all forms. His words gain confidence slowly, which is strengthened by his deep voice. I've lived in this inn for a couple of years now, and I've only seen a couple of roads, a couple of places. It's just, once you get here and you see how harsh it is, it hits the road, you even have more reasons to stay on a warm stove, behind a wall, even if it's suffocating. He looks towards the windows. I'm sure you've heard a lot already, that the people don't build hamlets anymore. There are no more ibixes from the south, and the traders could stay for a few days. All of our iron is used for cauldrons, not swords or tools. Well, why find traveling rest? Well, there are hills nearby, and when you find a village, maybe an hour from here or so, it was destroyed by beasts almost a decade ago. Nothing to see there. The goblins live there now, so most people just travel around it. And they say it's haunted, but who knows? Who cares? He crosses his arm and starts to sway back and forth, gathering his thoughts. You'll get to a large tree on the edge of the swamp. For the locals, it's sacred. You're not used to hearing someone mentioning pagans as if there's nothing unusual about them. There's a small path south, which leads to the old mine in the mountains. Nothing to really find there, but keep riding north and you'll find Howler's Dell, set at a clear brook. Farmers live there and mufflins and druids. They'll let you stay for the night, but they're not cheap. If anyone thinks my prices are bad, it means they ain't been to the Ape Owl Inn yet. He lets out a gentle smile. I nod. I know only a bit about the next settlement, Old Pagos. The soil there ain't too fertile, so they work in the quarry and help other eastern settlements build their things in exchange for crops. The forests and hills ain't too harsh, but the Seekers have a small monastery nearby. In the mountains, I don't care much about them. They keep to themselves and they don't pay well. The third village is unknown to me. The White Marshes? Set at the bogs. I've heard it smells like a griffin's lair. I've also heard a lot of nasty rumors about the place, but I won't share them. I don't want to be a lie spreader. That's a good thing. So 3 villages, really. Howler's the one near the monastery, whatever it's called, in Marshes. Don't let their beds and palisades fool you, though. Weird people live there, and don't tell them more than you need to. You wonder if it's something he would tell the other travelers as well. So, the Howlers and the Marshes. Are the eastern roads as rough as I've heard? Pretty much. Don't leave the main road, I'd say. Not so far from here, you'd find an old man. A few of men people had spent a night there, and the monkeys stole food from the gods from their bags. It was their fault. One of them had fallen asleep in the middle of his watch, but you know, the eastern forests are wild. The roads are rough, almost no soul lives there. One day all these roads will be swallowed by the trees again. The furthest my team has ever gone was the home of the Enchantress. Just stay on track until you reach the crossroads, right near an abandoned watchtower. From there, turn east. You'll recognize the place? It's a nice home in a lonely meadow, surrounded by a wall. He looks towards a closed window. Then you again. Kind of like our walls, but simpler, without coating. She lives as a hermit in Dokia. I don't even know how she survives there, but if you don't have any decent coin, you won't find much there. So back to the crossroads. If you turn left instead, you'll see a road. People stay away from it. It connects the tower and the monastery, a shortcut between the two of the peninsula. It was warned by the locals not to use. It already belongs to the beast. Have you ever been to Northern Coast? I only know about it from another inn. It's far from here, maybe a day on foot, a bit less from the eastern side. His eyes once again focus on the floor. I've never been there, but I've heard it's a safe place, close to the villages of fishers and hunters, though I don't know much about them. Thank you, that's all I needed. What do you need? Well, I wouldn't say I need rest. Let's see. Let's go ahead and eat one of these. The winged hourglass was adopted in order of majority. It's used in Templars and funeral, but it won't decorate expensive choices. Not every soul who wears such ring in an invisible place is a devoted believer, but it can be seen as a sign of solidarity between more conservative section. And like this are meant to portray infinity of life and rigidity of time. The traditional pendants are made of steel, signifying the strength of humankind, determination, and innovation. The pendants are made of steel. Let's go ahead and wear it. Sorry, it's listed. We got some Sodal, Gamson, magical ornaments, rope, traveler set, and of course our weapon axe. Not too much to say, I gotta be honest, but yeah. Didn't expect to find any of your size in such a place like this. Ah, so you know a thing or two after all. His mind tone is soon replaced by a gentle smile. It was built, long before it arrived. It didn't work out well for the previous owners. Once the war ended, they left. Not enough travelers. Bad trade, and villagers were sick to themselves. We, however, came prepared, and now we're prospering. Very nice. When you asked him how they can afford all the supplies, he runs his fingers through his dark hair. I'm not against running an inn, but we don't really rely on any guests. We're the ones doing all the trading. My hunters are a clever bunch and stay safe in the forest. In exchange for furs, claws, and bones, we get what we need and more, both from the south and from the north. He relaxes in his chairs. We have a good life here. We spent a whole lot on armor, crossbows, lumber, spears, but in another 10, maybe 20 years, we'll have enough savings to move to Hullivin and not work for another day of our lives. We take risk, but smartly. The team's stronger than ever, and I have big plans for us. Nice, okay. It's not surprising to find a purple-skinned man so far north. Is there a good story behind the inn's name? I'll return to my other question. Is there a good story? I mean, there's a story, but not a good one. He pulls his throat. For years, I wanted to have an inn called Pelt, but in my city, it would have a bad taste. Taverns and inns named with a single word were cheap, had a nasty reputation. There was the Claw, the Mugger, Basilisk, and Blissful, I think. The good places are at least 2 words. Empty Barrel, a Rose in a Hamlet, Empress Smile, Big Head was the exception. It was a real dive. He chuckles. In my soul, it's just a pelt. Pelts are what we came here for, and that is what we will use to reach our goals. It's surprising to find a purple-skinned man here. I ain't seen a soul looking like this since my ma died, he shrugs. It's not a fascinating tale. Let's just say I wasn't part of the invasion. Yet I'm glad I freed all those who were chained by the cities and their corcels. He looks to the wall. I'm Layson, by the way, but I barely hear the name. Turn to my other questions. About Glossian's band. He freezes, observing your hand silently. He wants me to answer from the mayor. He wants me to get the answer. I'm on it. Any rumors worth sharing? He crosses his arms. I don't like to talk about people who ain't nearby. Show me first, and you'll be someone worth it to have it. Okay. Do you have any leftovers? Yes. I feed them to the boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait, then leaves the bone for a few moments and returns to a wooden bucket with a long stick ending on a hook. Go through the gate and turn left. You'll see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucket full and you're done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyways. And I'll prepare something to fill you. The hook is not made of metal or wood. It's a long curved claw, almost black. Half an hour? That's quite a lot of berry picking. The tools are code, but not too heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. Ah, the bears are not the problem, the innkeeper smirks. Unlike the snakes, bears scare them away with a stick. A move like that with a hook can protect your hands. The little ones won't eat you, and you don't get bitten. I'm sure you'll know how to be patient. Fine, I'll go right away. You step outside, Solo is pawing the ground. You hear the sounds of work coming from the armorer's workshop. I enter the inn, approach the guards, head to the armorer, go to the well. Let's approach the guards. A woman in yellow is kneeling next to a brown hairy boar, which is resting to the left side. The beast is not as large as the ones in the forest. It responds to the touch of human hand and breast with grateful grunting and rapid twitches of the hind hoof. No matter how friendly it appears, it's still tethered to the wall. Well, and you have no doubts that its large charge would leave Solo dead in its breath. When the woman notices you, she steps forward, to the boar's disappointment. So, the new Roadwarden, she points at the window with her chin, forestalling the question. We don't need anything now, but when we travel with our furs, we could use some assistance. Oh, nice, so we may have someone that would want our help. Very convenient. She may be around 30, but her warm voice and bright smile are camouflaging the touch of time of her unpowdered face. Like many red-haired people with freckles, her skin is unhealthily pale. The boar runs up to her, observing your boots and fruitlessly sniffing on food beneath the beaten ground. She pats its back, but maintains her focus. How about a game or two? We have a bit of time and we could talk a bit about this and that. Maybe you'll get a couple of coins, or lose one. She winks. We can play dice, or throw axes at my target. Sure. The axe throwing. Let's show me what you got. Your arrival, and especially the dragon bone you pull out, are cheerfully welcomed. The guards prepare a couple of wooden planks, which are leaned against the wall. There are also spectators, and you're told that the other hunters are Either sleeping or have duty of the tower. Remember, no magic, says one of the players. His face is deadly serious. There's going to be 4 participants and 8 rounds. You aim with the target drawn with charcoal. The person whose axe lands on the closest to the center in the circle gets a point. Axes that fail to stay in the plank don't count. The person who has the most points at the end becomes the winner. Let's blend in. You talk a lot. You don't say much. You share casual jokes, memories and views of luck and optimal strategies. Soto and Tulia's camp are also brought up, but when you ask about the roads of the locals, their stories are vague. The drinks are here. It's beer poured from the leftovers from the regular brewing. It's cold, sweet, and doesn't reach your head, but you try to avoid the smell. Just don't spill anything, the boar may get sick, says the opponent with the arm. As a guest, you start with the first throw. Your axe flies well, hitting the very middle of the painted target and piercing the plank with a pleasant thud. This makes it really difficult for the other players to outperform you. A minute later, you've won the first round, but you can't expect to be that lucky every time. All I can do is try my best. After getting your first point, the other players nod with respect. Quite a score. You hear from the guard in yellow armor as she hands you her dragon bones. The other participants carry away the remaining planks. You ever been to the heart of the woods? We sometimes hunt south from here and there. There are good hunting grounds in the western half. The second one is too overgrown. Maybe the soil is different? She shrugs, then moves the hair away from her forehead. But it's a risky spot. There are treants there, and wolves, even the furless ones. And if you have to go through the tall grass, watch out for what's on the ground. There are many archers in the trees. She smiles as if it's a joke, but there are too many worms, even larger than the water leech. Tell me about yourself. Oh, what is there to say? After a brief giggle, her voice gets cold and serious. Nah, Roadwarden. We use names and stories among friends. You ain't one. Don't make me tempt curses. The innkeeper asked me to forage berries. She chuckles. Oh, don't worry about it. Usually we forage by ourselves, but we wouldn't ask for your dragon for a meal. He gives small jobs to people all the time, just to see who agrees to do them. He wants to judge us and see who's proud to do our own. If they've agreed, just be sure to get those buried today, and don't try to take those tools away. He hates thieves. Have some questions about this place. Not much to tell, honestly. There are many beasts around, both wild game and dangerous monsters. Spend our time surrounded by these walls, leaving only to hunt, forage, and trade. Okay. So we're still on the same time. Usual tower expected a gate, like in Hullivan? Fair, but it ain't here to protect the gate. The stronghold was built long before we moved in, and not to fight off humans. The tower is meant to be used by those who absorb the deep forest. Look out for fires, dragons, and any winged creatures that are looking to roost on the roof. Baldy, she knows towards a man who indeed is completely bald, has a great eye, and sees well even in the darkness. Any interesting creatures? Ha! Here? Everything lives here. I can imagine. She flips her hair. I swear, we saw a few dragons, a unicorn family, a battle between trolls and goblins, face 2 beastmen, oh, and a gargoyle, and a hunting queen shouts all the time. I can tell you all about them, but I won't. She winks and packs the boar in her head. You know, hunters have their secrets. Your group seems quite attached to this boar. How could you not be? She crouches and raises the boar's head, but it steps away and squeals as if someone's murdering it. It came with us from the city, just in case. He had no clue how our first winter would go, so we needed some backup meat. And it works too. Clean the dirt. She reaches out to the beast again, but it trots away. The woman straightens up with a pleased sigh. We haven't need to eat it so far, but it's also funny. I learned in my home village that the farm boars are getting a bit smaller and more cuddly, kind of like ibixes. So it's not much more of a wild, dangerous beast, but we won't let it get close to other animals, or children. What do you usually hunt for? Anything that we can eat or sell. If there's a patronage, a squirrel or a rat, we don't complain. But when we move as a group, we look at something for the larger. Deers and ostriches are delicious, but we don't always look for the taste alone. There's value in bones, antlers, claws, tusks, things people make of tools and sculptures. We use some of them to make tools and spears, and never have enough spears. She pauses and looks at the strand of her hair, then suddenly speaks again. And we look for furs, of course. Can I find north? I'm sorry, we don't really go in those regions. We stay close to the home, only sometimes between the west and south to Dallersdale, but only to trade. They're fine with buying more than they need since they take wares to the coast. She takes a long breath, twirling her hair and gathering her thoughts. You know what? I've never even seen a beach, and I've been living here for how many? More than 10 years now, she giggles. It's only part of the sea that I've seen from the old Pagos, which is still on a hill. I never put a toe in salt water. She looks towards another huntress who confirms that her experience is the same. But old Pagos is a good place. As long as you don't mock their order and act nice, they'll also be kind. Boss says they're too serious for him and to stand them, but at least they don't bite without reason. You ever heard about the necromancers? It's something new. Her voice lowers to a whisper. I've never been to the White Marshes, but over the years, we've seen people moving away from here south. They told us that the place has changed too much. A priest died, I think, and the new one awakens the dead. Sorry, Roadwarden, that's all I know. If she's hiding something, she sounds convincing. Thanks. Knowledge about wild creatures. Well, I told you knowledge is valuable. I don't know. She looks at the boar, which seems to be obsessed with a clump of grass. 15 dragons, no less. Any discount for friends? Well, depending on the friend, she gives you a rating style. Let's say 15. If it's too much for you, maybe ask me to spend some time around, show us what you're capable, or play dice with us if you have an hour or two to spare. These folks here, she starts to whisper and points to the thumbs of the guards. They crave gossip. Alright, let's walk away. You return to the courtyard, you hear the sounds of work coming from the armorer's workshop. So let's go ahead and head to the armor. So now we're still at the same time. Walk past the well and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stone, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are two people sitting on a lunch bench. The first one is a male and maybe an inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, a long, thin, yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambeson with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who is wearing your crude outfit as a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening long daggers. Wait for him to notice you. At a few minutes, the man finishes his task and raises his head. He puts away the piece of garment on the table, stands up and bows to you, and shrugs, waiting for you to speak. I'm in need of your services. He nods and points to the laces in the front of your jacket, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, and gently spreads and lowers them as if he's taking off a robe. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gambeson. A few minutes, he gives it back and reaches for his pouch. He pulls out a dragon bone, shrugs, and then another one and waves them both in the air. Pursing his lips, he makes a few speech-like noises with an empty mouth, quoting what sounds like, I don't know. Consider his offer. In 1 hour, your jacket will be completely patched up. I think that would make sense. Let's do it. Your armor is as good as an armor can make it. I feel like a gambeson could use some adjustments. He nods enthusiastically, but then apologetically points behind him at a small box with basic tools. He ain't that experienced, says his assistants. We do that, but only simple things. Swing clothes if they were torn. He shakes his head and points to the uneven seams on your own tunic, then grabs a crude bone needle and shows his broken head. He wouldn't even if he had the tools, says the boy, but you can try in Holler's Dale, or Gale Rocks. Learning the trade, I see. Kind of, he answers reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. Yes, but we both ain't masters, you see. There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready, I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring. The man grunts a sound. Though you don't understand it, seeing your face, the boy chuckles. He said safe. Let's be in the middle. Boring, but safe. The man nods. Alright, let's leave the shed. Let's go to the well. The recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from rain and birds. One of the guards enjoying the cold drinks he drew with a bucket and tells you to use only as much water as necessary. The oak ash soap you own can help you get cleaner. You need 3 pieces of baby bitumen to get more out of this place. Let's wash my shell. Splashing yourself with cold water from the bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and smut from your skin or mud stain on your clothes. Nice. So I step away. I should go ahead and forage. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put on your gloves and went through the brushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before you notice the first serpent lying on a rock between them somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you and so they're closer, one jab of the hooks keeps them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They're all round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a color even if you knew you were looking for food in the wilderness. The plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh, so you make it thoroughly to cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many brushes to fill the basket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. Gather the berries and go back. You return to the courtyard. 2 of the guards participate in a friendly skirmish. The rest is accompanied by a crowd. Let's go ahead and put his fruits on here. So the locked windows make the air stuffy. The weak fire in the stove hardly lights up the hall. Several guards are eating gruel and talking with the innkeeper at the stove. So you again. Need anything? Put his fruits on the counter. Great. He peeks inside the bucket. I've got cabbage stew and a few good chunks for you. I'd serve it even to merchants if they weren't around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked. And like I said, I rarely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever need to stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. Thanks. And how did that old hook of mine work out for you? I see you still have your hands. Given the hook, I'm fine. I'd like to buy it from you. I've lost it. I'd like to buy it from you. He narrows his eyes. Can't you just make one for yourself? I won't have time for it, and I hate snakes. It's the claw that grabs my interest, honestly. I see. It's a nice one, ain't it? My guards once had to get rid of the pebbler. I can't really eat them, but their claws and bones are durable enough, so we really put them good use. For a moment he observed your face. A single coin would be fair. I pay him. Takes a nod. Need anything else? That's all I need. I'll go outside. So it is now 10 hours before dusk, so I guess we can go ahead and... I'm trying to remember where we needed to head to. So, going into the forest, the east to western wetlands, and the roads to Hollowin. Travel time. Let's go left. The road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention, not only to the shadows, but also to the trees, to the light and the rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and find ambush spots. Keep an eye out for any signs of life. Ooh. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools of work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. They're fluttering, singing, and squawking, free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. A broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Beyond the burnt building of the east, you see an oddly barren field. Supposed to be on the field, take a close look at the gate. Let's take a look at the gate. The palisade's in good shape, and the entrance wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The amount of used force must have been huge, but you'd expect that it would push the gate into the village, not away from it. You don't see any marks of a dragon bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years you see no raw paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. Let's approach the building near the fear. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotted and covered in moss. You see no ashes of dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for too long. You can see no furniture, and just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. Let's move forward. Let's inspect the pasture. You don't find a single sign of livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung may have already devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river. On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for the rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spot that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks that you could follow. Let's explore the fields. Surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one abandoned for years should already have turned itself into a green lea. Barren field? Maybe it's overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. A curse? The path leading west from here in the edge field shouldn't be better than a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisade. Let's go ahead and see if there's any ammonia here. You unpack wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots, marking their positions by sticking a branch in the soil. All you can do now is wait. So you brush salt for a bit and make sure the saddle doesn't bother it. When you return to gather your amulets, all of them are much warmer than your skin. The entire field is corrupted, though seeing how there are already some plants growing from it, the spell is fading away. The curse is most likely as old as the last to harvest. I walk away. So it did not work out then. Your stomach makes out a painful groan. Wait, why would my stomach make out a painful groan? I'm like full. Where did my armor get hurt from? Must have been something I was doing. Let's go ahead and inspect the palisade. The tracks of human footwear are many, and many more ape-covered footprints cover the path formed between the palisade breach. As far as you can tell, the fleshless footprints lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects, and worm. A good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt for birds and eggs. Yeah, I would have expected them, actually. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround dozens of tree stumps, already covered with moss and fungi. Going south, you'll reach a large field, though you don't see any crops. Shouldn't for, especially not in this area, it's unpredictable. Let's go ahead and inspect the clearing. The meadow is lush and colorful, and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple minutes, you leave solo with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case of a hoof following into an animal den. Being forced to travel without the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have comparable size. That's not good. They were most likely planted with sole purpose being cut down and used by locals. Though cutting of many trees at once, that alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process could be spread across a couple of seasons. You can't be sure that was the case. In the west and the north clearing turns into wild forest. In the east you see a road leading north. Go to the road. You're at the closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by a lush meadow, filled with crickets and rodents. Take a look at the gate. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks underneath and around it, seemingly to move planks that have stuck into the ground. I want to open it. You should take a look at the other side to be sure if it's even possible, especially if you take a couple hours without proper tools. Okay, let's head to the river then. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple grunts, they run north. The river is too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You would rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds, of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid the predators. Dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried among the kelp. A rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes. One handles with a large wagon or covered with some moss, but you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? Once the bank of meadow turns to a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. Alright, let's go ahead and explore the southwest part. The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the walls. Yeah, we're still doing good, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling, or a large wolf, larger than the gray ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. Yet no beasts remain in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be of use, a basilisk fish trap made of vines and willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out of its own. Quite large, but I can fit on my saddle. The closer you are to the village, the longer you stay around, the sicker you feel. The taste of gastric juice hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, and you start to stumble. Sawdle, worried by the sight, pokes you in the head with the nose. Walk away from the walls. Maybe better to stay at least away from the village for the rest of the day. Leaning on your mount, you go outside, keeping your mouth shut. In a few minutes, your eyes get clearer. Let's go ahead and wash ourselves. Fill the plants would help you much. The oak gosh sap will help you get cleaner. You need 3 pieces, yes. I can't really do anything there. So let's go ahead and set up a fishing trap. You place the basket on the ground, then grab a bowl and start digging, looking for a few larger worms. You bait and stick and push it into the basket, looking at it between the sides. Then cover the entrance with a lid. Trying it together and takes you a few good moments, but it would be easier later on. You attach the entire trap to a bush and place it and push it into the stream, far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it will take for something large enough to swim in. Still, it'd be better to not wait around for too long, otherwise the prey may die of hunger. Alright, so we've done basically everything we can here. We still got another 7 hours, so let's go further left. You enter the wetlands, with their many streams, ponds, and fish. Large birds run and fly between the gray, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms, and critters. For a human, it may be an unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarm of insects prove that it's a realm full of life. The danger with teeth and claws is hidden below the surface. Stay away from the banks. Ooh, this plant shouldn't be alive. Not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurians in the grass or on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now, or was there a point in time centuries ago when they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's really no way to tell. Solo is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with his tail. However, whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place through very different eyes. Ooh, he likes it. I smile and scratch the bottom of his neck. Go ahead, I'll take a look around for just a moment. I know there are dark forests hidden here. I asked the right for a village eye. Let's go ahead and tell him to go. You don't see any creatures nor humans. Let's look into the water. You step cautiously without knowing how deep it gets. You have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. So you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Once you get close, you start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it is also shallow. You see vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like spider webs covering the bottom. Aside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your attention. What are these roots? You kneel in front of something that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles that of your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. Do something with it. What do you want to do? Grab. Pick up. Kick? The root is flexible and stretchy. Your blunt hit sinks into it like a pillow. Whenever you lean away, it returns to its original shape. Stab. Pull your knife and then stop in place. You can't tell what the results of wounding the tree would be. Let's better spare it. You don't see any creature nor human. Let's approach the altar. There's clumped dirt and the uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mold, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached. You struggle to move them by even an edge. Green-colored limestone is cool and soft. Use nails to detect if there's any magic hidden. You unpack the wooden sphere. It's pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots on the altar, next to the roots beneath it, and with a few steps away on a boulder. You begin the ritual, after which all you can do is wait. You go for a walk with Staldo, making sure there are no monsters in your vicinity. When you return to collect your amulets, only the one placed on the rock hasn't changed its temperatures. The others are cold. The closer they are to the tree roots, the cooler they are, almost painfully so. This is not what's supposed to happen. If the objects are filled with magic, the spheres get warmer. If not, you stay in the original state. But what's this? You've never seen such a reaction. Try something else. Let's make an offering. What is your sacrifice? Let's do some food. Place any type of food you want or sacks of nearby plants, but none of them seem to be making a difference. Green color limestone is cold and smooth. The tree is sitting perfectly and hasn't changed since you made it. The tree is perfectly still and hasn't changed since a bit you saw it. I'm gonna save. I don't think this is a good idea, but what if I did horse? So it's too large. Okay. Myself? You put your hand on the altar, but you don't see any reaction. Tool? Weapon. Break. Yeah, I don't know. So really the altar doesn't really do much for me here. That's where no leaves grow near an altar. You're currently here. Maybe if I had like siege or something. I don't know. I haven't really seen anything. What's below? The shades of mountains are cutting through the horizon. The water gets gradually less muddy the cleaner it gets. The more animals you see. A family of deer blocks the road, resting and enjoying the cold water, which would be deadly for a human stomach. You consider riding around them, though the sparse meadow, but your presence could also cause them disquiet. Without much haste, they regroup and run east into the leafy forest. Before we travel forward... Well, I have to travel forward. You've reached Hag Hills. Nice. The walls of stones that have blocked the city's graphs, the once well-established route through the leads them to the valley where the Tullius camp. There are no maps of the highlands nor tribes, only stories. The beaten path leads you by the gardens of better herbs and vegetables, into an old yet not abandoned mine, hidden behind a massive door made of steel. Nice. I look around. There's no hitching rail for a mount. The bearded, skinny elder sits on a bench, observing like a sculpture, with his legs crossed and fingers interlocked. Get off my horse respectfully. Let's go ahead and... Got my horse and lowered head. Approach him. I'm seeking guidance on young man. Let's do only worms, too stupid to understand me, wouldn't eat what's mine. You dismount and mention that your palfrey is no worm, but the man reprimands you with a thick accent. Let me see you whilst you speak. I can ne'er hear him without magic, but I'll read your lips. He doesn't yell, but his voice reminds you of a combat instructor from the city. His face is wrinkled and he sits straight, with beard and hair carrying glimpses of fair blonde. He's tanned like a worker and his eyes are blue and piercing, as if they belong to an infant. You're not from here, and you're no welcome, a stranger of a refuge. Say what you're looking for and be gone. Explain who I am. What do you call him? He stares across the garden beds, forcing you to wait in silence. The elder is tall, with long hair and beard that was let loose a long time ago. His sandals are covered in dust, and you spot dirt on his clothes and skin. The woolen tunic and linen were made with care, deliberate, decorated with colorful threads of the color and sleeves. Now all the bushes and greens have faded, and the fabric is held together by patches and stitches. While your voice remains firm, he unfolds his fingers and points at your chest. You do know your customs, and you're wearing a sign of death on your neck. Your name, your trade, your calling, you mean nothing in this forest. I do not know what you expect to find here, but this is not a place for strangers. Oh yeah, I probably should, put that away. Do my best not to smirk. Pagans always blame right followers for their own wrongdoing. Wait for him to look at me. The man says I'm approaching your palfrey. Without touching it, he observes its eyes, mane, stomach, and rear. Saldo ignores his examination. My nose was right then. Astarion is dead, and yours plan such is the fate of all dreamers. He turns towards you with a grim look. Are you going to look for him? You nod. Why? If he's vanished to the fogs, he's near a point and putting yourself in danger. What do you expect to find? He may need my help. I need to know what kind of danger to encounter. If he's dead, I want people to know. If someone's trying to make him disappear, they deserve to face. There's no reason why you need to know that. He may need my help. Do you believe that? That a man with no power over animals could disappear in the wilderness and survive for that long? He lets out a chilling laugh. I bow to your optimism. He doesn't actually bow. If what you say to be honest, you and I could share our past one day, defending those who can help themselves is something that makes me whole. Dizzy Burn smiles. You have some questions for me? I nod. Yes, I do, actually. I know how I should have dressed you. I want to fix my mistake. Have you met Astarion? He wanders among the garden beds from time to time, touching the leaves at a hand. He was there more than once. He was ne'er one to stand against on the events to play out by themselves. The villagers from the north are sometimes in need of my assistance, and Astarion was serving him as a messenger. He bends down and tears away a small, flowerless plant. He wants to settle aside among these roads, maybe to live freely. He had great plans and wanted to make them this realm to flourish, to rebuild the ruins, get rid of the brigands, and clear the trade routes. I told him that the forest needed more narrow people, and that the realm is too wild to feed a clove of people. His greed and dreams have eaten him, and now he is no more. He pauses, and you can hear his heavy breathing. I guess he's getting tired. He straightens up. And that's that, traveler. If you want to look for a shell, travel north, far north. People there should know where he is. I'll do that. No, I should have addressed you. I want to fix my mistake. Let's just call him... Elder. You don't understand the sound of the forest. You're as deaf as these rocks. You want to build bridges, but you are just structures owned by the humans. Prove that you're ready to learn or custom the bridge will grow on its own. What can you tell me about this place? Your eyes see what you are to know. People found copper in the cave. It's been abandoned for a long time now, so we turned it into a shelter to stay close from the sacred tree of the altar. We're servants, my wife and I. This place is neither more than servants of my house. How can you survive at this place? Erez's voice makes him sound like a preacher. One day, me and my wife were but defenseless old people, but we studied pneumonia and leaves for many decades. I heal wounds and illnesses of humans and animals alike, but the beasts listen to our whispers. The holy sea lets our shells wait for death and strength. What can you tell me about the peninsula? I have lived here for almost a century, traveled both the paths and through the wilderness. His voice becomes stronger and makes you think of a bard. But I'll never be your guide or teacher. If there's anything I can wish for, 'tis that you'll be away from these woods. Creature gets angry the more that we take from him, and they do not listen to our warnings. And one day they'll bury under the storm with claws and fangs. They'll be ne'er a soul to spare or tear after us. His eyes are as harsh as hawks, making him look like a priest who hears a child asking for honey on a day of a ceremony of fasting. Do not poke the hornet's nest, do not ride any east, and never use the path that rides through the heart of this land. That road was meant to save time, but it brings only death. Be a servant, ne'er an overseer. Do not try to bend this place to your will. He points at you and wags his finger after every word. Your will, anyone's will, is the key to danger and salvation. I'm not going to be anyone's. I need to take some risks to achieve. Think of the instructions were in line. He is there on your lips. Do you need anything else? Brought us some bands. Were they bothering you? He strokes his beard and then grasps nervously. There are souls who steal from the White Marshes, a village in the north. They would never dare show up here, but these brigands are brutes, simpletons. Ava, their leader, Glossier, listens only to force, and will humiliate for the enjoyment of our band. She will never be afraid of some lost Roadwarden. He lets go of his beard and lowers his head. She drifted so far away from Road Self. Kind, bright girl from Gale Rocks, loved by her parents, but now, do not cross her, or she'll find you. Can you tell me anything more about the altar? He smiles. 'Tis the tree that you should be paying attention to, the true gift from the forest. It answers to our offerings and rewards us with magnificent fruits. They heal both soul and shell, and will make anyone who eats them stronger than they ever were. We gather around the altar whenever the winter ends, and whilst it requires a painful sacrifice from all of us, it prepares one's soul for the future like nothing else could. What's the painful sacrifice? I wonder what happened to the village. I'm willing to tell you that, he raises, and beard shakes. That shameful tale ought to be kept in the past for the sake of the living. When you talk about the druids, strokes his beard gently. I will never share our past with strangers. We are fond of the people of the Howler's Den and the lands around it. Seems like a path to the heart of the woods is quite dangerous. It has long and dark past, and already caught many souls of its builders. 'Tis the pave, the blood, in the last 10 years has revealed as all as nothing. Since the days of, he glanced at you. Once again surprising with how shiny and lively the blueness in your eyes are. Oh yeah? Let's see here. Of grand discord. The tribes of this land are lacking themselves in the fields of the horses, too afraid to leave them behind, too untrusting to meet other souls unguarded. 'Tis now the only first road to be claimed back by the wilderness, and will never be our last. You ask if he has any tips for how you would survive to such a trip, and he tells you that it would be wiser to just avoid it. He then reaches to his pocket, grabs a leaf and puts it in his mouth, chewing gently. Death may make many paths to us, stranger, but cats are the one enemy that both are dangerous in stealth, as in combat. No human can fight it alone. If you see one of them and it's not too late, don't provoke it. Make it wary, but not scared. Look big, talk a lot, seek its action in its eyes. Looking for a job. Looks at the garden beds. We have everything you need. Can I enter the cavern? I need a place to rest. Why would I allow a stranger to do such a thing? Okay, so... I wonder what word he's referring to that would help us be able to know that. I don't know. We're gonna go back to the ruins. And... I have to wait until... Okay. So let's go and head up. You slow down among the shrugs. A small patch of dragonlings is feasting on the carcass of a gray oryx. One of them, with red feathers on its arm, straightens up and gives you a curious glance. Its head tilts left and right, forward and back. It screeches at you, but doesn't move forward and returns to its meal. You wonder what happened if you were on foot. Would they let you be satisfied with their prey? Or would they have run after you? If they do so, then what is the reason? For now, you have enough space to move forward, yet stay safe. The powerful jaws break the monster's bones loudly, then bite off and swallow chunks of meat. Ride forward, but I keep my distance. The beaten road serves you powerfully well. The forest to your left becomes sparse and brighter, and there are dozens of human-made paths among the fruit-bearing trees. One on your right, there's a large pasture, with at least a dozen massive muffins. Two of them, already sheared, look comically small. Soon after that, you ride alongside vast, flourishing fields filled with rye, still green, preparing itself patiently for the second harvest. The path ends with a massive wooden gate. The stone wall separating you from the glow of the lights behind it isn't as tall as the roofs. You can imagine climbing onto the top. The path ends with a massive wooden gate. Let's see here. There are pretty much no cracks, no missing bricks, no signs of many hours of labor, especially considering how massive the settlement is, as wide as the city district. Birds and monkeys are now just a distant echo, replaced with the sound of carts, running, hamsters, saws, laughters, and shouts. Finally, maybe I can rest here. Don't feel comfortable in large settlements like it is over with. Maybe I can rest here. Young man is leaning against the closed gate, covered by its shadow. He's young, tanned, and has a short, elegantly trimmed red beard. Beneath the green gambeson, he wears an expensive tunic decorated with colorful trim. From his arms hangs a steel helmet, though the metal is so thin that it's mostly made of wool and leather. He moves into the light and takes on the posture of a disciplined soldier, not a mercenary. He's standing upright with his chin up, and there are two weapons on the ground, leaning on the wooden beams of the gate, an axe made of steel and a wooden club. He doesn't reach for either. Huh. You dismount smoothly, still having some vigor left. Soldo holds its tail tie. A narrow path leads forward, towards two field workers, one with a hoe and one with a pitchfork. They wave to you and can see their faces, but their clothes are simple. Engraved pants and vests, made from hemp and wool. To reduce the distance, I approach the cart. Let's wave back. They talk for a bit, looking towards you and looking at your mount, then walk away, disappearing behind the wall's corner. The guard smiles, yet avoids your eyes, and it's clear that it's throat before he speaks. Welcome, traveler. If you're not here to make trouble, Hallersdale welcomes you. We have the whitest flower there is. When he bows, you realize it's a well-practiced performance. If it's new garments you're looking for, you can order everything you need right here, in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Capes, boots, vests, robes, or if you're yourself a master of the needle, I can assure you we have the fabric you're looking for. He's acted over and glanced at your mount in a moment of silence. His eyes get wider as he observes with a childlike fascination. So let's me patrol. You can pet his side if you want, but no sudden movements. Balzer instructs you, even though your palfrey pays no attention to the man's careful touch. The guard grins lightly. I'm Leto, your wardmate. I want to see your Maya. A city folk, eh? The mayor's busy, but I'll ask her. Give us a moment to let you in. He looks at the gate, which is then pulled inward by two other guards, a man and a woman, wearing their own gamsons, similarly green but tailor-made to match their figures. Nearby buildings are simple houses made of wooden beams and carved with thatch, while the storehouse is even more modest, with a roof made of planks. The watchtower is a ladder made of ropes and sticks, no stairs. Just give me a moment. The guard strides away before he finishes the last word. The others close the gate behind you and observe your mount carefully. Your eyes run east to a humming creek through the center of the village. I wait for the return of the messenger. Calming sound, eh? That's Holler Creek. The guard, like most of the locals, is taller than you. Wide but shallow. There's never been a flood for years. Paul told me that there would be near bridges. Neighbors crossed it with their boots in their hands, and 'tis clean like a raindrop. But there are definitely many. We're the cleanest village in the north, her companion chuckles brightly. When the guard returns, he's still alone. She can come now, a friend of mine in the labor, eh? The mayor wants to be there when the child arrives, but I was asked to show you the village. He approaches the watchtower. Tie your mount here. We'll keep the kids away. Most of the neighbors are getting ready to celebrate. Once you're done, he grabs a rope ladder. The view from here is gorgeous. I nod and think of my knife. It's a trap. I'll get him first. Even though the ladder swings in all directions, the guard gets to the top quickly. Like the monkey climbing up creepers, you on the other hand need to stop and wait for the ladder to calm itself. When you join the man on the wooden platform, you're a bit dizzy. He's leaning on the wooden rampart and observes the area with a smile, and with no weapon in sight. See? They're a place like Hallersdale. The guard points in every direction, giving you time to contemplate. For the next few minutes, he describes the fields and their crops, the flocks and the pasture and the shepherds inspecting the fences, the ancient garden of trees and bushes, larger than the village itself, sunlight dancing on the stream to its own tune. If you are to believe everything that it describes, this place has access to everything in abundance. The sweetest honey, the most fragrant bread, the softest wool, and the beer, 'tis excellent. Sounds like a city merchant who's trying to sell a house. No wonder he's so proud. Why wouldn't they be? They tame a scrap of land and live in comfort. The inland in the middle connects both parts of the village. According to the man, the northern gate is hardly ever open, as it leads nowhere now. The northern gate, there's the Ape L Inn, where you can find and bed and victims, and there's a stall where Achios rewards our work, unless we annoy him with pointless talk. He lets out a chuckle. On the opposite side of the creek, there's also a white house. It belongs to Bion, the best clothier in the north. The priests live in the southeast, near the wall, but they do not like to talk to strangers. You also hear about the hunter and copper, the fisher, the miller, the pie maker lives with his sister, the baker, the smith with her husband, the carpenter live with their kids. Some of the larger buildings could accommodate 2, maybe even 3 generations at once. There could be more than a few hundred dwellers here. You consider stopping his speech, but he suddenly points to the inlet again. There, see, the mayor's coming, the one wearing purple. You're free to join her, traveler. Noab and calm him down. You try to get down quickly, but 2 steps are enough to make you sure that it's a bad idea. You wait for the ladder to find its balance. You're relieved when you touch the ground again. You untie your palfrey and follow the guard. You pass a small pasture, surrounded by a wooden fence, a few loose chickens and a tethered boar. The fancier buildings are covered with whitewashed coating and surrounded with vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The bridges are wide enough to carry even a wagon, but for Saldo walking on the wooden beams is far from unpleasant. The inlet is empty, but you notice an empty stall, painted with shapes of colorful flowers. Walk over the second bridge. Along the entire path, you notice more and more people observing you, smiling or casually greeting you as they're focused on their own tasks. Later, you reach the main square. A large tree grows in the center, surrounded by darker water, held together by a thin wall. Perfect for sitting, but the smell coming from the liquid makes you think of rotten eggs. The next plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south, next to the swamp altar. The swamp altar? That's a weird one. In the north, you see the Ape El Inn. Judging by the tables, stools, and benches beside it, is open for guests. Nice. The villagers are chatting and dining loudly. You can catch their curious glances. On the side of the dining area, the merchant is arguing with a tall, broad-shouldered worker. An old man sitting by himself, eating a pie, with a walking stick leaning against the table. A young woman is cleaning the empty mugs in the creek and speaking with a man at least twice her age. Maybe her father? I need a spot to tether Solo. I agree. There's a wide wooden wharf right off the gate that shelters crates, crats, and sacks. You move your mount next to a donkey tube being placed there just for this purpose. Without a moment of hesitation, Solo starts to chew on the nearby haystack, and some time to make sure it doesn't struggle with its bundles. You return to the inn. Let's look for the mayor. She's on a chair with a 4-year-old boy on her knees, and she's holding his hand gently, showing him how to eat gruel from a bowl. It's not a cheap meal, though. You spot nuts, berries, and milk, and the added honey makes it yellowish. The kid is clean and quiet. He notices your arrival. He crans his mouth with a spoonful of oats. Now, love, the mayor tittles. Do not get distracted. She rubs the meal off his face. A few more spoons and you'll go papa in the kitchen, eh? She gives you a radiant, though apologetic smile, then turns her attention back to the companion. I observe her more closely. Her long, full-sleeved linen dress must have been dyed once in blue and once in red to achieve its dark, fancy purple, which raw looks even in Hollivant. From her left shoulder hangs a green woolen cape, and as thin as the shawl, the brown belt of her waist has a large steel buckle that portrays a running deer with realistically large antlers growing in all directions like tree branches. Unlike her tribesfolk, she's pale, with powdered and robed cheeks, and her lips match her outfit, though they're a bit closer to red wine. The thick gray strands of her long blonde hair look more like a fashion choice than a result of aging. Her eyes are the color of a clay, keen and vigorous. She's shorter than most people around, though would still be the tallest woman in most of the northern settlements. While she's around 40, her slim hands add fragility to her appearance. Even though her posture is upright, her legs confidently crossed, and her delicate voice asserted. She makes plenty of gestures, but her shoulders hardly ever move. Wait for as long as it takes. After a few more moments, the boy lets out a gentle cough, and after a pat on the back, the mayor puts him on the ground. You did a great job, love, but now I need to speak with our guest, darling. She addresses one of the inn workers, a girl close to 15. Take him to father, will you? Her tone suddenly gets firmer, leaving no hint of a question or suggestion. Yes, ma, she responds. Both her hair and her eyes are nothing like those of her brother, and neither of the kids resemble their mother. So, we have a Roadwarden again. Please, sit down. She vaguely shows you the palm of her open hand, letting you pick any place you want. I sit on the stool opposite her. I'm here as a trade. I'm her guest, so I'll sit next to her. Flowing water hits silently against the rocks and wooden stakes around the aisle, then splits into 2 steam beds. In Hollivant, the river is surrounded with tall walls, pregnant of banks from deterioration, and the water is seldom free of dirt. Here, the smell is as fresh as it would be in the woods. Mayor observes your outfit carefully, smiling at you with kind approval. Once your eyes meet, she hardly ever looks away. Her voice gets ever warmer. I'm sure you're hungry. My husband will bring us something soon. I'm actually not hungry. I appreciate it, though. Now I mention it, hunger makes me peevish, and this day is too nice for that. She taps her chest and looks for a flock of birds that fly above you, loudly heading south. As we're waiting, be as good as to me understand something. Ava, if you're but a mercenary, I can ne'er imagine a single reason for you to choose this realm for your wardening. Ne'er so long after Astion's disappearance, and nay glory for treasures to find here. Her pale fingers form a 10 on her stomach, then clasp, leaving the forefinger pointing at you. You're sent here by the merchants. They want the peninsula. Which praise the situation as lightly as I can. I simply explain the situation. I make it clear that collaborating in the city would make her keep her people safe. Well, she caught me. I don't hide the fact that the guild needs new opportunities. You introduce yourself and confirm suspicions. The war was merciless for all the coastal cities, and now the chief is agreeing with the merchants. Together we're stronger. You touch with the much more obvious parts of the potential deal with the city, such as taxes, but you draw our attention back to the matter of safety, keeping to yourself and to put people at risk. Your voice shakes slightly. By joining the 10 cities, you'll protect the people and your land. Throughout your speech, the mayor observes you without interruptions, but her fingers are tapping on the deer buckle with frustration. Finally, she takes a deep breath and looks away at her tribesfolks. It's foolish of you to assume our weakness, Leto. We don't need guidance from the cities, nor protection. We don't need help, and I hope to find more than survival. When she looks directly into your eyes, you flinch. I need real partners, ones who will aid us in our growth, ones that won't hide any catch in their promises. Actions now are identical to the one used in the city. You don't have to trust in your mind. Negotiations can satisfy both sides. You're speaking from experience, I assume. Do I really sound that confident? She turns and waves her hand by her chin, as if you just offered her a compliment. I've seen such negotiations throughout my studies, though I can't say I look as an active part in them. Let me show you an example. She theatrically clears her throat, patting her chest with one hand and covering her mouth with another. She leans forward and rests on her shoulders, allowing her freely to make the gestures. You can make a deal with the settlement. Flour and wool in exchange for coins and tools. You can send the first traders and they imply that you're ready to pay for more. Let's say parchment. Months later, you want no more rye, just the parchment and wool. And we can never butcher any more mufflins. And the locals say, don't worry. You answer, we'll send you a small flock, just turn one of your fields to a pasturage. She to speak in different characters, her voice comically shifts, as she has no issue switching between the accents. I encourage her. She swings her head above the table. Another year goes by, and while we're there, more parchment. The village lacks some crops. The tribe needs not just tools and coins, plenty of coins, but also seeds, and the guild is not satisfied. Sending our wagons costs a lot, and there are more Highwind now. If you wanted to come again in mountains, you'd sell us their cheese. And guess what? With a haunting laugh, she straightens up and spreads her arms like someone a third her age. Turns out that the village can't say no anymore. They lack supply seeds and lands. They can't even refuse. Don't you think the city would be a value keeping strong, fewer risks for them? I smile. I've no doubt this Merlager so is going to protect her people from these games. Oh, how wonderful. Keep the comments coming. No soul in the square reacts to her sound laughter, but all that doesn't mean I can counter every single ploy on my own. That's the good thing about living here. With these people all around us, she nods towards two girls that are carrying a basket. If some of them were to struggle, we all have to deal with the consequences. We all struggle, but we all benefit. Beholden, if they see profit chopping off our arms, they'll sell them to the first bidder. He gives you a side glance, but cheers up after a sigh. Let's finish the introductions. I'm Theus, one of the keepers of the Ape of Ale Inn and the mayor of Heller's Den. I assume it would be convenient for you to take my answer back to Hollivin. She wonders for a moment. Say, when we could expect the first caravan? After winter? Depends on what you can sell and what you want in return. While the conversation goes on, the food gets served. The refreshing aroma of roasted muffin covered with thick sauce made of mint, parsley, and honey tempts you to bite right away. The juices are sinking into the round trencher, a plate made of simple brown bread, but there's also a small bowl filled with red radishes. It's all brought by a few young people, all of them referring to the mayor as their mother, and in the end the innkeeper himself shows up and wishes you a good meal. He's wearing a clean orange tunic and a not-so-clean apron made of hemp. He politely introduces himself as Erix, and after confirming you won't get sick from what he prepared, he leaves you and his wife to your conversation. Theus tears the meat into a smaller piece and eats slowly, often expressing her enjoyment with a hum. Meanwhile, we get to the important stuff. Sounds like the nearby ground is fertile. The village would gladly pay its taxes, its grain, and vegetables with the expectation that a squad of soldiers would provide additional protection. Our youth is strong, she claims proudly, so we don't need your guards and our walls. But a lone Roadwarden won't keep the roads passable. We need fighters that are willing to patrol the pass, maybe even the heart of the woods. That's what we'd expect in return. You're not an expert when it comes to linen, cheese, and wool, so the mayor spends a couple of minutes describing the outstanding quality of what the village has to offer, especially the clothes, which are meant to be as unique as made by the master Crispus. You vaguely recognize the name of the tailored shoemaker, but you've never even earned enough to pay him as much as for a single sleeve. And of course, you will never reject some steel and bronze. We lack alloys for sickles and scythes. She then repeats her question about starting a trade route. Truth told, this guild is not what the peninsula has to offer. I'm going to take more than your village has. Wait, truth be told, the guild is not sure what the peninsula has to offer. It's going to take more than your village to convince them. Understandable, but you won't find much other in the other tribes. They have barely enough to survive, even after they trade for our crops. We have the only decent soil in this realm. At least the people of Gale Rocks have salt and barrels of fish, while creeks don't meat and wood. Actually, if you haven't been in Creeks yet, the furthest village in the northeast, you could give them a chance. She nods a smile. They could use your help with keeping their roads safe. White marshes, on the other hand, as well as Old Pagos, are close to worthless. For a trade route, that is. She clears her throats. At his words, she stands up and walks to another table and offers her trencher to an elderly man who sits there by himself. With a trembling voice, he thanks her and then starts to chew on soggy bread. She sits down and wipes her hand to a clean cloth, adjusts the folds into her cape, and once again crosses her legs. So tell me, Leto, how's Hollivin? I haven't gathered much news since the invasion. Things stay humble, but we're starting to look brighter. The harbor's full. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. It's far from great. Children lost their parents during the war, have no trade, and there's not enough settlements. Many people are unable to prosper. I'll say it's that. And I was afraid it was lost to hunger. Her chuckle was turned to scorn. Good to know that I was wrong. When the invasion started, some merchants were cheering in their houses, happily that they would sell out all their blades of food with what they could store. Can you believe it? The panic will make us rich. She imitates the voice of a pompous man. That's why the southerners reached the villages. They found almost nothing to eat. Staying in a remote peninsula truly can be a blessing. She pauses, hesitant to go on, then shakes her head slightly. Well, we can't change the past. How can I help you, Leto? Alright, you guys, I think this is where I'm going to be leaving this video here. If you did like it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. All you guys do really helps out the channel. This has been our first look into Roadwarden. We're going to be able to spend more time here into this village and then figure out where we need to go from here. We can go ahead and see this is our character, Leto. So we already have some interesting things that we got going on as well. Alright, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye. See you guys.